welcome back to Chup the podcast. I'm your host, Other,
And I'm Somyata.
and today we are back with yet another episode. First of all, happy Pride Month. June is the month of Pride. It is the month we commemorate the Stonewall Uprising, which occurred at the end of June 1969 in Manhattan. The Stonewall Uprising was a tipping point for the gay liberation movement in the United States. In Nepal, Pride Month was first organized by the Queer Youth Group in collaboration with Queer Rights Collective in 2019. This parade differed from the Pride March organized annually by the Blue Diamond Society that takes place during the Festival of Kaija. Recently, we put out a survey to provoke thought and discourse within individuals and communities regarding the LGBTQIA plus community, which has often been suppressed. The questions asked were, what does pride mean to you? And I would want to pass that question on to you, Samyata. What does pride mean to you?
What pride means to me might be a little vague, but for me, pride is more about self-acceptance and being true to yourself and being unapologetic about it. And not only that, it's about accepting yourself, but it's also about accepting everyone around you for who they are and what you are as well. So pride is really
Mhm.
being comfortable in who you are and how you choose to identify yourself. What about you?
Pride to me is a celebration of your truth. And for me, it's personally the celebration of love and acceptance, like you mentioned. And honestly, self acceptance should not really be a big deal, but it is because I think if I talk about like this, then it's because of the privilege I have with my circles accepting me for who I am. But for me, pride is about celebrating love and your truth. So one of the answers that really stood out to us was, and I'm reading it, quote unquote, pride to me is self-acceptance. It is being unapologetic and authentic. Although every month is Pride Month, however, the specification means us taking back the power of all negativity and derogatory that has been forced upon us for the longest time and giving it our meaning. And amazing.
I love this response because, like, if we really think about it, when really for everyone who was raised in this society was first introduced
Mm-hmm.
to pride because of the negative connotation attached to it.
True.
So even at school or even like growing up in a societal context, for everything that you did that didn't fit in the social norm, you would get
Mm-hmm.
questioned for it. You would get attached with a label, which would most of the time regard to something that was very negative and something you would want
Mm-hmm.
to detach from. So
Mm-hmm.
having a month where like you can take back, like you can reclaim those words and you can find
Yep.
power in those words is, I think, really important.
Exactly. I agree. And like you mentioned, a lot of people were introduced to pride and the LGBTQIA plus community through negative connotations, but to it. When were you first introduced to pride?
I feel like it was like really early on in life because as I think you mentioned this in the introduction, but I saw one of the parades that was happening during Gai Jatra, I believe, and I was really
Mm-hmm.
fascinated by it because I had personally never seen something like that. And with the media that like the media we have provided to us or
Mm-hmm.
the TV shows, the movies, whatever, we were not familiarized with what it was. So seeing that for the first time was like something that sparked an interest. But when like I really found out the deeper meanings to it and the history and everything was probably in recent days where social media actually kind of stepped in
Mm-hmm.
to like fill in the gaps that we were never familiarized with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was really important into learning about what the community is and what pride is really about. But yeah, not about me. Okay, anyways, so how was it for you? Like, how were you first introduced to pride?
So mine was when I was in grade nine, and I was 14 years old, which I think is still very late, right? But still, 14 years old. At 14 years old, my friend came out to me And of course, like I had never really been introduced to the LGBTQ plus community as like I never had like a friend come out to me before, or even like had people from the LGBTQI plus community as my friends, or just you know what I mean, right? And the 14-year-old me, when I look back, I'm just embarrassed for what I did. But at that time, personally, I was like, oh my God, what if she ends up liking me? And I personally hate myself for doing that, but I'm so happy that I have grown up, become a better person, and I'm here now. And guess what? I know, but I'm really, I'm glad that I was introduced to Pride and the LGBTQI plus community at 14 through my friend, because I don't think I would have been here reflective, accepted myself or whatever. And I don't think I would have been here if it wasn't for that conversation. Maybe it would have, I would have still, oh my God. Maybe I would have still come out, but maybe it would have taken me a little more time. And I always tell my friend that. I always thank her for it. I always talk to her about how much I respect her for trusting me um with her coming out story, and me being one of the people she came out to. And I've always like, you know, always told her that I genuinely mean it, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have been me, care. Yeah.
Yeah, not having like that around us, like probably one of the reason why the conversation never sparked was because we were never introduced to it by our families or even by the institutions that we go to, because it's still very much considered as a negative thing in our society.
Mm-hmm.
Since it is something that is not talked about much in our society, we thought that it would be a good idea for this episode for us to give you guys a platform where you guys could ask some questions about the LGBTQIA plus community, or any suggestions or anything that you guys wanted to ask us. So received a few questions in our Confess Out page that we would like to go into.
So one of the first questions that we got was, and I love this question, how do you know you're straight? First of all, I want to say something. I think this question is mostly like a backhanded, yeah, what about it? Kind of thingy to the question that's always there of how did you know you were gay? You know, it's always that question, but never of well, how did you know you're straight? Like, how do you know you're straight? You know, because honestly, being straight is a societal expectation. It's a default assumption, and maybe it might not be true for everybody. It's not for me, and I don't know if it's for you, but
Yeah, I feel like it's something that you're like assumed to have right after you're born. So if you're born a
mhm,
female, then you're assumed to be attracted to the opposite sex automatically.
mhm.
And then as you grow up, people like kind of feel it in and they're like, do you have a boyfriend and stuff like that, which is like simply based on an assumption that that individual is straight.
True. So yeah, I want to add something to that. Like I mentioned, and like you mentioned, being straight is a societal expectation, and I firmly believe that. And there's something about enforcing this statement into young kids, like, and children especially. So recently I have had problems with this expectation being put on children a lot, because I saw this one video and that kind of irked me a lot, but it has happened for a long time. But in this video, this famous singer, she asks kids who are like 13, 14 years old, she asks them, hey, what do you like doing in your free time? And they're like, oh, we like journaling. And she asks, oh, what do you journal about? You journal about boys? Do you journal? Oh my God, today I met Jack, and this is what this is what happened. I think that for the singer to say that, I mean, maybe she didn't mean any ill intent, but for me personally, I feel like that kind of invalidates homosexuality in younger kids like them. Because if a person who's older than you tells you, like, are you writing about boys? Then it kind of is implied that you should write about boys, you know, as a female. But no, I'm not writing about Jack. I'm writing about Jackie. Like, come on, girl, like, move on. You know
Yeah.
what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So I think we as a society, not even we as a society, but we as individuals should start letting conversations about homosexuality as a whole and pride not be a taboo anymore. Like, why is it a taboo? Honestly, I don't even like. I personally ask my siblings if are do you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, or a non-binary partner? Because I'm okay with any. Like, I don't want to say, do you have a girlfriend to my brother? And he feels invalidated in some kind of way when I don't ask him if he might potentially have a boyfriend or a non-binary partner. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I feel like a lot of us are programmed to think that you should be by default be attracted to the opposite gender, but how about instead of that, we just don't assume anything at all. We just let the individual grow up in a place where they're informed about everything and anything and let them decide. And they don't even have to personally declare it. We can love whoever we want. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
something that should be enforced upon us. It should be something that we choose, not
Mm-hmm.
choose, but you get the point.
Yeah. So, like you said, I think I'll mention this, but I think labeling is a choice because I don't label myself. And like you said, it's not really important for you to come out as bi or gay or anything per se because you're not sure. So we got a question about that. It's like, how do you know if you're bi or gay or a member of the LGBTQI plus community? So for that, like I think that really related to something you were saying was I personally think labeling isn't necessary. Like coming out, it's such an important part of it's a challenge, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, you don't have to necessarily label yourself to come out. And I just want you to understand that. Like any one of you listening, you don't have to come out as bi or gay. You can just come out as like not straight, not straight, period.
Yeah, and much about like figuring out your sexuality doesn't matter if you're like trying to figure out if you're straight or if you're bi or if you're gay or if you're a lesbian, anything. It comes down to more of a feeling than what you are categorized into because let's just like face the fact you can't be fit into a box. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to like come out with a label because that would make it easier for the people around you to understand you, that's completely
True.
fine. But at the same time, if you don't want to have a label, then you're not obligated to have one.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, that's so true. Because, like, I feel like sometimes people, when they come out and they don't really feel like any label fits them perfectly,
Yeah.
that's when they kind of start backtracking and be like, oh, am I really, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because that kind of stops or like doesn't let them feel comfortable to accepting themselves because they feel like, oh, maybe I'm not really, you know, maybe this isn't really true, you know? So labeling is not necessary. So just know that labeling yourself is a choice. Like it's all right. Speaking of labeling is a choice, we had a question about what's the right way to approach people about their sexuality. Samira, please.
Okay, this might sound very harsh, but my answer would be that you simply don't. Okay. I,
Exactly.
I have an explanation for this. Like, it might sound a bit rude, but hear me out. If they were comfortable with you knowing like something personal about them, then they would have mentioned it to you. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of it comes down to you observing things like the way they talk or usually the way they
Mm-hmm.
talk about who they are into, or it's like a stereotypical thing, but the way they present themselves sometimes can work too.
Mm-hmm.
But you simply do not go to someone and ask about their sexuality, because personally for me, I wouldn't like that if someone did that. And even like when we connect this with celebrities, I just don't like it when it happens, because I was scrolling through TikTok, and when you look at the comments of a few influencers, the comments will be spammed with questions like, what is your sexuality, and different variations of it, and like people demanding
Mm-hmm.
an answer to that question because they need to know something. And the only thing that you need to know is no one owes you an explanation to that question.
True.
Like if they are ignoring like the thousands of comments that that's being spammed in your comment section, these question may be perceived as having no ill intent, or be seen as like truly harmless. But when there are like different variations of this question spammed in people's comment section and social media and they haven't answered it, they're obviously uncomfortable with it. And
True.
truly, like if people are okay with, saying out loud or being open about their sexuality, then they will mention it to you. So I don't think going off of assumptions is the right thing to do here.
Mm-hmm. I don't really have a take on it because I feel like what do you mean by right way to approach
I mean, this
like
can be
people about their
pursued in like
sexuality?
two different ways. Like the other way can be
Yeah, exactly.
if you're trying to get with someone and you're like not sure if they're into you, then
Yeah,
that can be a completely different context. But if
yeah,
that
because
happens, if that was the case, then what would your answer be?
so here's the thing. If people got if someone's gonna ask me, do you like Girl in Red? I'm gonna say no because I don't listen to them. Okay, first off.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah, I do. You know what I mean. Like for me, I think I swear to God, if we start talking about hitting on people, then we're gonna stay here for a very long time and this is gonna be a really long episode. But the
Yeah.
way I the way I approach people, well, I really can't think of any right now, but I actually tend to be a little more warmer, I guess. I don't know why, but this is not a
Oh
good
my
thing,
God.
okay?
Okay.
And I
Is
don't
this
encourage this at all.
okay, is this like where you try to be like a little protective and stuff like that?
Yeah, but like it's like this. The thing is, this is not something that's good, and I don't suggest this, but I feel like I have to act more masculine in order to approach them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
true.
it just, I feel like that's not really good, but
Mhm.
well, that's how I approach people. I don't really know. I mean, like the only reason I approach people is after I know if they are actually not straight. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, yeah, what's up?
But
Like, what's
other
good,
than
gang?
that, if you like really want to know and then you're not sure about it, just be very aware of their body language and like the way they talk to you,
Mm-hmm.
because that reveals a lot. And I might be
True,
sounding
true.
like a I don't know, relationship expert or whatnot, but yeah, just like being observant and listening sometimes can truly help you.
Yeah. So for me, okay, so my gestures are I tucked a girl's hair behind her ear once. I did that. And
Classic
I
move.
I saw this one TikTok that said if you want to like impress them, you have to like talk in your low monotone, not your high pitch. So it's not like, hey, oh my God, you look so beautiful. It's like, yeah, you look beautiful. So I did that one time, embarrassed myself. And we don't talk about that in this household, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's
If I
I
go
did that.
if I go any lower than like my speaking voice, then I'll sound like a man, and that's the last thing I want.
I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah,
Anyways,
it's not coming from relationship like with any expert, so don't take it in account.
yeah.
That's the end of the story.
Okay. Let's move on to the next question that we have. So
Yes, please,
is
ma'am.
okay. How would the members of the LGBTQ community like their friends and family to react to their coming out? Do you have a take on this one?
Should I go first?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna share my personal story. I think I speak from a place of privilege when I say this because I didn't have a coming out story. Like I didn't have like a huge oh my god ordeal when I came out to my friends and my siblings. But the reason I say this is because there is a privilege in the fact that some of us never had to come out. And this is I'm quoting Tina War here. She's a great YouTuber. Go listen to her. We're gonna link her in the bio, in the description, sorry. But she says that there's a privilege in the fact that some of us never had to come out because the fact that nobody questions you or berates you about your sexuality is a privilege, and that's what I had. Like my circle, my siblings, they never really questioned me or they never really looked down upon me when I came out, and that's why I never had like, oh my god, like guess what, like instead I was like, I'm not straight, right? Yeah, that's the thing, and that's how I came out to a lot of my friends. I never had like this huge thing, and I guess like conversation wise, may ayo. And thank God I had people that actually understood and that didn't like constantly be like, oh my God, like how when did you know? How did you know? So they were up, and I don't really have a story about how I would want people to react, because like the people that I wanted to react, they reacted the way that, I mean, the way I said it to them. It was like, yo, guess what? And they're like, huh, they okay. So like I don't really know. Like I think when I do plan on coming out to some other people, then I mean, aren't I already? But like, I mean, I'm out.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
my take would probably be completely opposite of what you just said because
Hmm.
most people don't have that privilege. So, a few days back, one of my friends asked me like the same, like kind of the same question, and I was really thinking about it. What could have went different? I was like trying to brainstorm about how I would want the people around me to react. So the first thing
Mm-hmm.
would be definitely do not say I knew it. See, okay. That would be the worst thing because this person has like built up like their courage to come
Mm-hmm.
out to you and talk to you, and
Mm-hmm.
have trusted you like with their life almost. And as soon as they say something and you're like, I knew it, that would just bring that person down. And I don't know if it's just for me, but I find that completely, I don't know, like invalidating what someone else is saying.
Mm-hmm.
And just with that, the other thing would be like definitely comfort the people who come out to you and also listen
Mm-hmm.
to them because that's important because this person has been like bottling up this for a long time, and they just need
Mm-hmm.
someone to like someone who would listen to them and not be like a complete douchebag to them for once. So
True.
and that, and also about comforting, don't do it 24/7. We don't
Oh
need
my God,
that. We don't
that
need
one.
people being like over sympathetic towards you, like being like
Yeah.
whatever the context is. If like someone comes out to you and 1 year later you're like, it's okay, I support you, bro, no. Don't do
I
that.
mean, I mean, okay, wish me happy Pride Month, but
Yeah.
that's about it.
Yeah, that's pretty much about it. Yeah, there's a similar
Okay,
question to this actually.
wait, wait, wait. I want to
Oh,
say
oh yeah,
something
go.
though
Yeah.
before we proceed. Like you said, don't say knew it, and how it kind of makes the person who has been closeted and it's taken them time to accept their truth. I know. Like we actually posted it on Instagram about how you can support your friend coming out. It's in our Instagram highlights for called Mayama. But we talked about how sometimes accepting one's own sexuality is the most challenging part about coming out near enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally believe we should treat the individuals who do come out to you and make sure that we show love and respect. Like it's okay for you to be like, I support you, I love you for the way you are. And like this does not, like you're still gonna be that bitch. But you don't have to, yeah, saying something like knew it kind of makes the person who has been closeted and who's tried to hide it enough for a really long time because they thought that it's going to be very bad when they come out. That's going to be really like mentally, like it's like a punch to their face, like, ha, you didn't hide it well, when you're literally like, oh my God, like if I come out, this is so many things that could have gone wrong.
I mean, like most of like the "do I knew it" kind of thing comes out
Mhm.
from this stereotypical perspective of like how the person dresses up or like how they present themselves. For me, I'm like
Mhm.
more, I don't know, into masculine things, I'd say. I grew up as a tomboy,
Mhm.
and I think this would come from a place of privilege too, but the people around me were totally fine with it because I grew up with a brother, and I love to do the things that he did, so I naturally
Mhm.
gravitated towards them. And yeah, so most of the people when they're around me and I tell them something, they're like, yeah, like you look the part, and I'm just there like, huh, what do you mean? Like, because the way I dress is my self-expression, not my identity. So
Mhm.
yeah, and I wanted to get into this other question that's kind of similar, which I think you can go more in depth into. It's how do I make
Listen,
my friend not feel judged after they come out to me?
first of all, don't judge your friend. That's the very first
Yep.
thing. But I think it's not just with coming out, but as individuals and as an individual myself who's kind of overthinks but also kind of gets scared, we kind of feel like we're judged at literally almost everything. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I mean, it is kind of a bad thing because it kind of stops you from getting to the solution, whatever. We've talked about that in our previous episode. Please go check it out. It's on our YouTube channel, okay? But when we do come out or like share like things that's so personal to us, and now we the thing that kind of stops us from telling certain people, or the thing that stops us from fully accepting it and talking about it, is the fear of being judged. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you not make your friend feel judged? Ma, first of all, don't judge them. And second of all, just, I don't know, like maybe don't talk shit about the LGBTQI plus community. Don't use homophobic slurs, derogatory terms, and don't make
Please,
fun and don't mock the community. Don't mock the community, and that's how you can not make your friend
oh,
feel
the
judged.
other thing
Because
about
honestly,
yeah, the other thing about responses, I'm sorry, this just like came into my head. When someone comes out to you, don't say the words "Are you sure?" or "Really." Don't say that. This is stupid because, bro, this person has taken their time to like suddenly kind of gather themselves and truly figure themselves out and like
mhm,
presented themselves to you, and you're there like, "Are you sure that this is not a phase? Is this who you are?" Oh my god.
don't do that. Don't do that at all. But also like how can you not make your friend feel judged, ma? Make sure you let the friend know that you actually even if you're not a part of the LGBTQI plus community, make sure that you all are like I don't know. I don't think I should say you're an ally because a lot of people are not, but just make sure that your friend doesn't have to feel like they have to act different now that they've come out, okay?
Hmm.
You know, or make sure that your friend doesn't have to fear that you're going to treat them different now that they have come out. So, yeah, that's about it, I guess. Talking about ally, we have also got a question about how to be a good ally. What do you do when someone comes out to you? So, Samita, could you answer it?
Um, so the first thing that you do to become a good ally, apart from placing your judgments aside and stuff like that, you educate yourself.
True.
That's the most important thing to
Number
do.
one.
And like, you don't have to go in depth, like, about things, because let's be honest, a lot of people who are a part of the community don't know certain things, because things like labels, they change a lot, and we don't know
Mm,
everything about any like everything about everything. But the thing you can do is you can like always have this open mind and this will to learn new things.
true.
So when your friend is like, okay, this is something new to you, let me explain it to you, be open to receiving that information and not being like, okay,
Mm,
but you told me that this was a completely different thing the last time. Don't do that.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Don't be defensive when someone's trying to educate you or like just inform you in general, okay? Um, likewise, I actually believe in educate and eliminate. So when we educate ourselves, we're gonna eliminate conversations about homophobia as a whole one, okay? So like if you educate, like let's say you mistake, maybe you say the F slur, okay? And your friend's like, hey, that's not right. Okay, your friend who might be the part of the LGBTQI plus community or not, they say, oh, don't do that. That's wrong. Understand, educate yourself, and be like, okay, because after we do that, and after we take and after we as an individual are like, okay, fine, that's wrong. So I'm not going to use that slur at all, then we can eliminate that slur as a whole, okay? But if we're not willing to do that,
And the thing you said just gave me like a major flashback, and you know what I'm talking about. So that first of all, and like a lot of these slurs are reclaimed by the community itself. So you cannot be like,
mm,
so you're like a part of this community and you can say it, but I cannot. Yes, you cannot, because it is something that was reclaimed from a negative connotation to something positive in the community.
Mhm.
So it's about power. So you can't, but someone in the community can.
Yeah. So wait. There is one more thing about the F slur. So if you guys don't know, but this is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's called Moonlight. It's an Academy Award winning movie. And there's a whole different conversation about Academy Award winning part, but it is an amazing movie and it is one of the best movies with LGBT plus representation. You should go watch that movie. Anyways, so in a scene, in one of the scenes, the main character Chiron, who's a kid in the scene, he asks Juan, "What's F word?" And Juan says, "F word is a word used to make gay people feel bad." And Chiron, who's a kid, asks, "Am I a F word?" And he says, and Juan, the elder guy, he says, "No, you can be gay, but you gotta let nobody call you a F word." And that's like showing, like, Unsani, it is bad. And when we're like, when it's used so frequently, like the C word in Nepal, because all the questions, honey, of how were you introduced to pride and the LGBTQI plus community, and we talked about the negative negative connotations to it. A lot of people replied saying words like C word and the H word, which like that is a derogatory term that's used against the queer community. Like a lot of people said that was how they were introduced to the community. Okay, so when a kid as young as Chiron or us at such a young age are introduced to the community with slurs like this and derogatory terms like this, what do you expect from a kid to be like, oh, so that means you are not supposed to be that? And I'm so thankful that this movie exists because it's an amazing movie. And one is like a representation of what adults in our society should be, okay, and our lives should be. Chiron said it's a bad word, but you can be gay, but nobody is going to call you the F word because you're not that. And the fact that our society or the individuals in our society are not ready to have a conversation about the existence, mere existence of the LGBTQIA plus community and pride to younger children, that just limits their knowledge about the community, and it's just going to make them make kids who are a part of this community feel invalidated. And that's why we should have a conversation about it, and that's how you can be a good ally. Like, I don't know why people think if we have a conversation about the about being gay, then their kids are going to be gay. Like,
Dude,
what?
okay, I have this like story. I've never told you this
Mhm,
before, but like this is like from the school I came from. I think it was like the beginning of high school. So we were having a
mhm,
health class, and health class was mandatory for us, you know. And
mhm,
we were being taught about sex and like the female reproductive system and the male reproduction system, whatever, you know. And one of my classmates, like, I don't know if they were like trying to make it as a joke or was seriously asking, but I feel like
mhm,
they were seriously asking. They said, okay, but what about same sex, intercourse and everything? Are you
mhm,
not going to teach about that? And the teacher said that that's not important. The and I love my class for what they did. The entire class erupted because she said that it's not important, and like my entire class erupted, and they were like, okay, so you're basically invalidating everyone else. And like the way that like the teacher's face kind of changed, that was the like most amazing thing that I've seen, because everyone was yelling at her, why is it not important, why do you think it like is something you
mhm.
should not talk about? And it was like probably the best thing that has happened in school.
That is indeed. Like, I mean,
We
I'm
should.
kind of happy we as a generation are ready to have a conversation about this. Yeah.
And like
Oh.
I feel like when like as you said, we as a generation, we are ready. It should be something that should be mandated in schools as well, like because there are like a few like words that are used as slurs and used to degrade someone. If we are educated about those things and we are like presented with the histories and how it developed and what it actually represents than what like we negatively think that it represents, then I feel like it would like cause a very positive impact on the younger generation because they will be able to understand what is right and what is wrong in true
Mm-hmm.
sense.
I understand. I mean, like, true. So that's, I guess, how you can be a good ally, but also educating yourself is a huge part of being a good ally. So let's leave it at that. This is okay. This is a good, interesting question. And
Oh no.
the question is, when do you think is the right time to come out to your parents, or is there even something like the right time? So, Samita, do you want to go first?
Okay, the fact that I know who asked this question, I hate you for it. But okay. uh, for for me personally, I wouldn't say like there's a right time for anything because you won't plan it out like some people do because like
Mm-hmm.
the circumstances and whatever. But the thing is, you should come out when you feel like is first of all you when you feel like you're ready and it's safe for you to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And like people will be like, safe, why do you need to be safe? Like the truth is that it's something that's not widely accepted, and when you feel like you won't be accepted if you come out to maybe let's say your family, and there is like this certain chance of them not
Mm-hmm.
wanting to have you in that household or something like that, then you know a lot of times that's not the case. That's just how we think it is. I know, but being truly
Mm-hmm.
sure about, okay, this is not going to happen. So for most people, I saw a TikTok on this, but this guy basically told everyone to have a backup plan to go to if you are not accepted. And it was kind of heartbreaking to hear that because
Mm-hmm.
in our society, heterosexual people are not obligated to come out and
True.
through anything. But for the people who have to, there's a certain threat attached to it, and
Exactly.
you don't feel safe. Like a thousand questions go through your mind, like, what if this person does not like me anymore? What if this person spreads rumors around me? What if like the relationship we have gets strained and stuff like that? So I wouldn't necessarily say that there's a right time, but there will be a certain moment where you will feel like it, and when you feel okay with coming out and being open to everyone around you, that's the perfect time
Mm-hmm.
to do it. Or you don't have to do it either, let them figure it out, honestly.
Yeah. True. I kind of stand by that last sentence you just said. But like I mentioned before, I speak with a lot of privilege with the fact about coming out because I have pretty, I don't know, like I think I have pretty cool parents. My father, he surprised me one day when he told me that it's okay if you're not straight, and I was like, what? Wow, like that's amazing because my dad wants to be a liberal,
Dude,
which he's
same.
trying to, he's educating himself.
And
Um,
then it's the most funniest part. I think it's like the funniest parts about dad. They have like the sudden wave of thoughts, and they're like, I'll be fine with that. It's just the funniest thing ever.
mhm, exactly. My honestly, I think if I start talking about my father, I'm gonna cry. But my father, I don't want to say he's an ally yet, but he told me that he's all right with me and my brother. He told both of us, he was like, it's all right if you guys are not straight, and you can like
Yeah.
trust me with that, you know. And I think for me, it's not really gonna be a problem because like because after this episode comes out, if they listen to it, then that's how they know, okay? But if they don't, then they're gonna have to wait a while.
Yeah,
Um,
bro. Okay, honestly, I might be coming out from a place of privilege when I see this too, but then if I were to ever come out to my parents, then I feel like it would go well because even though my parents don't like understand the whole thing, they're willing to learn when they say like see something,
mm,
or when I say something, they're like, okay, what's that? And like they're always like willing to learn. So I feel like if I or like my brother were to come out to them, then they would be completely fine with that. But in other
mm,
cases, some parents they're like completely opposed to it. Like
Exactly.
it's a very scary situation.
Yeah, yeah. And like data, like you mentioned, and this question, Mapani, the risk factor or the like given it the threat, I know, is them not accepting you. Okay. And I think that's also one of the reasons why people stay closeted for a very long time. Like, some people even stay closeted for until like their 50s or
Dude, their
60s and then
entire
they come out.
lifetime.
Exactly. And I'm not trying to, say like you should come out at this time because that may just, completely ignores their struggles with, I mean, maybe a self acceptance, yes, but like acceptance from people that actually matter in your life. And that's also kind of important, right? But I believe in something that's called let love exist in its purest form, please. Like, let love exist. I don't even know. Like,
I
when
love
I'm
that statement.
exactly like when I say this, I mean, if the love between two people is pure, no one should have a problem with it, like, no matter what or how the individuals identify themselves.
Yeah, bro, not even two people, like within individuals, like no matter who they love, how they love, if the intentions are pure and they like where they are and what like accepting themselves and being okay with what they are, then you have no place to judge them because it's their life and they are not affecting
Exactly.
you. If like
Mm-hmm.
having a display of LGBTQ community would influence a child, then there like let's be honest, queer people would not exist because the media back then was like fully
Mm-hmm.
straight. So if like media were to influence people, everyone would be straight.
Mm-hmm.
So having a little bit of representation won't hurt you or your child or anyone around you.
Yeah. And one more thing I want to add, this is something my friend added, was that individuals' identity in their personal relationship shouldn't be a matter of disdain for external individuals. Keep that in mind, you people. Okay.
I think we have a few more questions. So
Yeah.
do you have to be sure about your sexuality for you to come out? Okay, let me just say it. No. That's it because okay, I don't know if like most people believe this, but I believe this. Sexuality is fluid. It can change from
Mm-hmm.
time to time because it's
True.
really about you figuring yourself out and you finding love and you finding comfort in people. And
Mm-hmm.
for most people it stays stable for their entire lifetime, but for like other people it like as you gradually get exposed to everything and you like take the time to learn things about yourself, then it can change. And so even if the person were to come out to you maybe 3 times, you don't have a say in it. You just accept them because they are finding themselves and you don't have a say in it. But they love you enough for like them to come up to you and let you know what's happening in their life.
Mm-hmm. I want to add something to what you just said. Sexuality is fluid. I believe that too. I saw this one Instagram post about sexuality is not a set stone, which is the same thing that you said. But one of the very good examples that I've seen of this represented in cinema or like movies, whatnot, is in Empire. And I've talked about this show so much.
A lot.
Um,
Guys, if you were to
exactly.
listen to our behind the scene footage, then you would probably get annoyed by now by how much loves Empire and how she talks about it. Oh my god.
But that's an amazing show. It's an amazing, amazing show. Okay, whatever. Let's get back to the point. So Empire is an amazing show, which so the character Jamal in Empire, Jamal Lyon, he's gay. That's how he identifies himself. But in season 3, I believe, he has feelings and he sleeps with a girl. Now, like you said, sexuality is fluid, and like if like for me watching that I was like, oh my God. That's also when I realized like love between two people is emotional and it's not really about their physical appearance or how they identify themselves, right? But like whatever. What happened in the show was that Jamal's fans were angry, and they were angry about the fact that he slept with a girl while being out as gay. I know. And that kind of was like, why? Like, like, are you just expected to be with a man when you come out as gay, or are you just expected to be with a female when you come out as lesbian? And no.
Mhm.
And I think that also kind of reflects a little bit of biphobia, if
Okay.
you get what I mean.
I have so much to say about this because, like, when people come out as bi, okay, uh, individual identifying as a bi female starts dating
Hmm.
a man, then the entire population will be like, oh, so you were straight after all. No, that does not make them straight. Being bi
Hmm.
means loving more than two genders, not at the same time. That's a different thing. But like when you start dating a man and you're female, that does not make you straight. You're still bi
Hmm.
and you're still valid. Being with a man and you've never been a girl but you know that you're bi, that's still valid too. A
Hmm.
lot of things. And just people having this set stone, like, no, you have to love one gender. No, you don't. Who made that rule up?
Exactly.
Whoever you want.
Yeah. I saw this one post.
Hmm.
So that post, it says, my sexuality is valid even if I only dated people of the same sex, or if I've never dated anyone, or if I've dated people only of the different sex. And that's true. Like, I don't know how much we can emphasize this, but I don't really understand why people have an expectation of whom you should be with
And like the thing
just because of how you identify.
the,
Mm-hmm.
the thing they say about, like, when you come out to someone and you're like, they're like, how do you know you're into women? Like, you've never been with them. Like, yeah, I've never been with a man too. How do you know that I am into a man? Like, what?
Exactly.
That doesn't make sense. Like, you having like a, like, the awareness that I can be into a man even if I've never been with one in my entire life, but I can't be into women because I've never been into like women or like been with them. That doesn't make sense.
Or so you think so. Okay. Okay. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about was also some of the movies that we've watched and the bad representation of the LGBTQI plus community in movies. Samita, you wanted to talk about some movies. I want to talk about one. So there's this movie called Ride or Die on Netflix. And personally, I have a problem with the movie because it is a movie about two lovers, lesbian lovers, but one who's out. She, spoiler alert, I don't even encourage you to go watch it
Yes,
because it's backlash.
skip a few minutes if you don't want any spoilers to any of these shows or movies.
Yeah, but I don't even encourage you to watch it. So your choice, whatever. So Kyunzane, the lesbian lover who's out, she actually ends up killing the other girl's husband, abusive husband, rightfully
Whoa,
so.
that makes it
But
better.
I'm not saying kill the husband, please, please. So kills the abusive husband, and then the other girl starts playing mind games, and this lesbian lover just does whatever she wants, like whatever the other girl wants. Now, I had a problem with this movie because it kind of shows the lesbian girl as like willing to do whatever and so thirsty for the other girl's love, and it paints homosexuality in a light of being psychopathic a little bit, and about, oh my god, I'll do anything for you. Like, no, if you're toxic, I'm a run away from you. I'm a runner. I'm a track star. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Don't watch that movie. Period.
Okay. Okay, this is not a like a bad representation sexuality wise, but then about like being thirsty and stuff like that. And people are gonna
Mm-hmm.
hate me for this, but I hate the book and the movie, Call Me by Your Name. I hate it. Oh my god. And like the Timothy Chalamet fans are gonna murder me, especially Anna. When she's editing this episode, she's gonna like kill me. But hear me out. Portraying like a gay relationship it's good.
Mm-hmm.
But portraying a relationship between a grown ass man and a teenage boy,
Mm-hmm.
a little weird. Little, I know, a little bit weird.
Exactly.
And like, I was so glad, like, the part, like, there was a second part of that movie coming out and it got canceled. And I was like, oh my God, thank God.
Hmm. Well, good fact. I've not watched that movie. I've never watched that movie. Okay. Period. But wait, I wanted to say one thing. What's the word like the unrecruited love or un something word?
Requited love.
No, I don't think it's required. It's something like so I'll form the sentence and please add the word. Eh? So like I think we still yet have movies where we have there's like a lot of parties that wants to take them apart. We still have movies where with LGBTQI plus representation where the characters are not separated or are not like you know what I mean like I mean I want a pure love story. Just give me a Fault in Our Stars with gays in it, like something like that. Just give me a rom-com with gays in it. Like, how hard is that? Like,
Oh,
why does it
I don't
always have to
like
be?
rom-coms. It's not like rom-coms,
Oh,
but like a little, like, YA kind of thing with
mm-hmm,
good representation. It's not fully based on LGBTQ community, but it's like a good
mm-hmm.
representation of it. Shows like The Wild, it's on like Amazon Prime, I believe. It has like a authentic
Oh, I know
like
that.
lovers representation because no one's getting killed for who they are, and like there's like a side shown where a girl comes from this super conservative family and how she grows
Mm-hmm,
apart from it, and a girl who's unapologetic about who she is. So
mm-hmm.
that's one of them. The other one
Yeah.
could be The Half of It. I like that movie a
Oh,
lot.
I love
I
that movie.
enjoyed it. Yeah.
That's what I was gonna suggest for movie suggestions.
And that's one of those movies. And like one movie that ended up being a horrible, horrible storyline, but sparked a good, conversation within the community and a good movement. Not a movie, a show, was The 100. And if you don't want
Mm-hmm,
spoilers, skip a few seconds ahead. But yeah,
mm-hmm,
when Lexa was killed off, that moment, because like if you're still listening and if you don't know what happened, it happened right after she slept with another female character, and the
mm-hmm,
intentions were not like to kill them off as a curse because Lexa was presented as a lesbian character from the beginning, so it was not
mm-hmm,
the intention, but that was how it was seen because she was killed right off. But then the good thing that came out of it was a movement started within the community where people
mm-hmm.
took the name of Lexa and they started raising funds, they started raising awareness about like the whole situation. And then they like were able to raise huge sums of money for organizations working towards like helping the LGBTQ community, which
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so do you have like some movie suggestions? Mine would be Moonlight. 100% go watch Moonlight. That's like the best movie because there's no unrecruited love or people trying to separate you. Okay, like I'm not saying it's like love every time and all, but it's about one struggle with self-acceptance. That's the best way I can like continue word it, right? Another would probably be Philadelphia. This is not about coming out and everything. It's about the struggles that queer people have had with, uh, and a lot of people who have lost their lives to HIV/AIDS. It's about that. I mean, that's not a good explanation, but you'll understand.
mm-hmm.
So, another one is Mr. X. It's on Netflix. I think it's a Chinese movie, but it's really good.
Yeah, with a few shows where, it's with time, it's like new shows, and if you want to get into like the process of it, then I believe that good like a few good shows you could watch is obviously The Wilds because it shows like a process of her finding herself, and the other
Mm-hmm.
one could be Atypical. It's a show about autism, which is very informative by the way if you watch it, but it also has like great representation of the LGBTQ community and the character finding themselves and accepting who they are, and it's like a huge narrative. So you could watch that.
Hmm. Oh, also Empire. I think it's Empire is like good. Okay, I also wanted to talk about how so movies about LGBTQI plus community kind of shows visibility of the community itself
Hmm.
and the visibility of our community and inclusion in it was recently proposed by the Progress Pride flag. If you guys don't know what it is, the Progress Pride flag was debuted in 2018 by graphic designer Daniel Quasar, who goes by the pronouns Z them. They aim to take the Philadelphia flag's inclusive approach a step further by putting emphasis on and including the inclusive elements to deepen the meaning of the flag. So the white, pink, and light blue represents the colors of the transgender flag. The black and brown represents people of color and people living with or honoring people who have lost their life to HIV/AIDS. And the red represents life, orange represents healing, yellow represents sunlight, green represents nature, royal blue serenity, and violet spirit.
Yeah, and if you didn't know, like the pride flags and all the colors in it represent certain things. So if you want to know more about it, it will
Mhm.
be posted in our Instagram, and we will be, you know, going more into what the flags mean and try to answer more questions, I believe. So I feel like this
Yes,
is where
sir.
we wrap this episode up, right? So, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want to hear more from us, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram for updates and additional information. You can also reach out to us through our Confess Out page with any questions, recommendation, requests, corrections, or opinions. As always, our socials, along with additional sources, will be linked in our description box. Once again, thank you for listening. Happy Pride, and we hope that you tune in for the new episode this Friday.
Yes, sir. Happy Pride Month, everybody. Love
Bye.
you.